Hello, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm just going to discuss my observations from my trip to Bremen in Germany. So at the beginning of June, for the first time in probably 6 years or even maybe more, I went abroad, and this time I went to Bremen in Germany because I was invited to DJ at a tango event. So myself and my partner went out there, and the thing that really hit us was how few electric cars we saw on the streets of Bremen. So Bremen is a city in Germany. It has a population of about 560,000 according to Google. So it's about a quarter bigger than Bristol. Where we were staying, we flew into Bremen Airport. We were staying in one of the outskirts of the main city. And we spent quite a bit of time actually in the main city itself, where there isn't a huge amount of traffic anywhere. But we did go out to the Science Museum, which is a few miles outside the city and is on one of the university campus. And as a scientist, I actually really enjoyed that museum. It was very interactive. It was very well put together. And if you go to Bremen, go and check out their Science Museum. But as I say, no matter where we went, we saw very few electric cars. I think when we flew out from Stansted Airport and we parked in one car park and we had to walk through a couple of other car parks to get to the terminal. And I think we definitely saw more Teslas in one row of one car park than we did on our entire trip to Bremen, where we were there for 4 days. And I think in that row we also saw more electric cars than we saw in Bremen as well. And this was quite surprising, because I was thinking Germany, you have the Tesla factory there, or Gigafactory. You have Volkswagen, who make a few EVs, so they used to make things like the Up, which was an electric car, a bit smaller than the Polo. They make the ID3, they make the e-Golf, or have made the e-Golf, and the ID3 is an effectively electric Golf now. They make the ID4 and ID5, which are their big sort of four-wheel drive inspired EVs. They obviously BMW and Mercedes are made in Germany, or German companies. But we saw very few electric cars, and we're trying to work out why that was. Is it, as the papers claim, that the bottom has dropped out of the EV market and no one's buying them? That is a potential, but then we would also expect to see some of the older EVs like Zoes, Leafs, and maybe older Teslas. And we didn't see any of that there either. So there was some charging infrastructure. We weren't actively going out to look for charging infrastructure, but we did spend some time walking around quite a few of the streets, and we did see chargers like this picture here that I'll put up, of chargers, and there were cars plugged into them. We did see lots of taxis, and again, if we go into even in Swansea, if you look around some of the taxis here, you'll see Tesla taxis. If you go into London in particular, there's electric cars all over the place, and a lot of them are electric taxis there. But most of the taxis we saw were either Mercedes or BMWs. We saw one Model 3 taxi, which was part of I think it was part of a hotel, because all the cars from this were like this sort of off-white creamy colour. So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. So it could just be the cost of electric cars in Germany is high, and that's what stopped people from buying them there. But also what we were thinking about, was it the actual city of Bremen itself? Apparently there is a clean air zone where we couldn't find out where that exactly was. But what Bremen did have, and we found really useful, was it has a really good public transport system. They have a tram system there. They also have a bus that sort of runs along the tram lines as well, or goes along parts of the tram. So if you go to the tram stop, there might be a bus that sometimes pulls up there as well. And these trams are very regular. They run from I think 4 in the morning through till 1 in the morning. So there's only enough 3 hours in the middle of the night where they weren't running. There seems to be tram tracks going all over the city, going out to all the different suburbs. It was easy to get from the railway station into the little suburb where we were staying. It was about a 5 or 10 minute tram journey, and then there was another 10-minute tram into the city centre. And as I say, you just hop on, you can buy a ticket, you can buy a day ticket. We were buying a day ticket, but for 2 people, and it was coming to about €11. So we didn't consider that to be that bad, considering the amount of times we would just be able to hop on and off trams as we wanted to move around. Also, we found there that there was lots of bike lanes which were pretty much segregated. They were on the pavement. So there was lots of bike use in there. So what we were sort of thinking was, we weren't seeing that many cars in general. So is the public transport system there so good that people either don't have cars or don't use their cars for day-to-day use? And that's why we weren't seeing so many electric cars, because if somebody had bought a car 10 years ago and they're only using it for a minimum amount of usage, it's still running strong today. The other thing was that if people are ever do want to do long journeys, or do long journeys, do they then buy electric cars for that? And that's the reason why we weren't seeing them in the city. They just use the public transport for going around the city, and then when they want to go further afield, then they drive electric cars then. So these are the 2 sort of hypotheses we have, and I have no answer to them, which one is correct, without going back and then sort of speaking to more people and doing more research in this. But it was a very interesting sort of 4 days we were there, just looking around going, oh, suddenly there's a Model Y, which is, as people will tell you, one of the biggest selling cars in the world at the moment, and it was the biggest selling car in the world for a quarter last year. So seeing so few of those was, as I say, a surprise. Anyway, I'd love you to know your views on this. Is it that the electric car market is dead, which doesn't seem true from the actual figures? That there are still lots of EV sales, there's still a strong demand for second-hand sales, which is still keeping prices in the second-hand market reasonably high, even though they are coming down. Is it that because public transport is so good that people just don't use their cars, and therefore we just weren't seeing them? In which case, is this a model that we can actually apply to the UK? It might be slightly difficult because Bremen, again according to some online resources, 2/3 of the household of housing there was destroyed in the Second World War, so they had to rebuild, and a lot of it is built on a grid system, and the roads are quite wide there to accommodate trams. Thinking about Swansea, which did have trams in the past, that may not be possible with our roads here, but in other cities it may be possible. Again, I'm thinking Bristol, maybe not, again just because of the structure of that city and how it's grown over time. Anyway, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to financially support this channel, you can hit the join button and join the and pay a monthly subscription, in which case you get videos like this early. As the channel develops, you'll get more perks as well. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video very soon.